Let's talk about some things that might be deterrents to joy in our everyday life. Well, what about worry? How many of us find ourselves worrying or having an overconcern for things or other people that we don't need to be thinking about? The ruminating thoughts that come up every day that can kind of be our trap to keep us from the joy that is within. The second one of the 12 would be having low self-esteem and comparing ourselves to others, that negative self-talk, self-doubt, lack of confidence. And that comparing ourselves to others is what brings all of those other things, the negative self-talk, the self-doubt, and the lack of confidence. So but maybe you, as a youngster, were compared to a sibling, or maybe it was instilled in you that, you need to just work hard to be worthy, right? So that's number 2. Number 3 is the negative thoughts, not just about yourself, but negative thoughts about and opinions about other people, the way the government's run, how the government's spending your money. I hear a lot of this from people and from even some clients where the guides told me years ago, stay in the light, stay in the light, stay in the light. This is your job. And so if I'm going to be a teacher and a quote unquote spiritual leader of sorts, then I have to keep myself in the light. I couldn't do what I do if I was dragged down by opinions, looking at what's wrong with the world. So what type of negative thoughts might you want to check yourself on now? Thoughts, opinions. And yes, that doesn't mean to not be radical and want what's good for the United States and the world and humanity. No, we can still want all that, but without the negativity, because when we're negative with opinions of, well, things should be this way, are we trying to control everything? Are we trying to be God? Why don't we join with God, with our divinity, and uplift and pray and send love and light? Number 4, perfectionism. I get an A++ in that. Type A personality, always striving to, well, everything's got to be just right. Where does that come from? Maybe some of our training as a child, but where does it come from inside? Not enough, not good enough. So I'm working on that, and it feels really good to be coming out of that perfectionism, because that can certainly squelch, if I'm pushing, trying to make everything right around me and control everything inside of me to be that perfection, that's a great thief of joy. Number 5, like I briefly touched on this already, deterrent to joy might be illness. There's many of us that are suffering through debilitating illnesses that are very difficult to deal with every single day. And we have great compassion for you, and we'll address a little bit of this later. Number 6 is loss, tied to number 7, which is grief. But loss can be lost parts of self, loss of a job, loss of a friend, and the loss to death. We can feel the weight of that every day. That's very difficult to work through many times, and it takes that maturity, it takes that standing up inside, it takes that knowing that it won't last forever, and praying, asking for help, calling in whomever helps you, Archangel Michael, Raphael, whose name means God heals, your own divine self, your own self-healing techniques can all help you through it. But the most important thing is to not ignore them. And the joy is always there, just like your divinity is always there. Your higher self is always there. You can't escape it. Wherever you move, it moves with you. So you're never alone through any of it. Number 8, holding grudges. It would be good to check ourselves on, are we holding a grudge against anyone else? And why? Because holding a grudge is the lack of taking responsibility for our lives, for the soul's plan that we have brought everything into our life for a reason and a season. So if we take full responsibility, yeah, well, they shouldn't have done that, or they shouldn't have said that to me, especially not in that tone of voice. Probably not. and you're hurt. That's totally understandable until we can say to ourselves, they must really be hurting. Anyone can say anything to me. Anyone can do anything to me, but they can't touch this. It's that knowing of your divinity. They can't touch that flame in your heart that's always burning. So when you can take that stance, your grudges and number 9, anger, can be left behind because you know who you are. The I am that I am, the one that's untouchable, the one that is eternal, the one that's going to live forever, that is living forever, that always was, that always will be, in that perfection of no one can touch this. Wasn't there that song, you can't touch this, years ago? Make that a motto. Can't touch this. So if you're angry at someone or holding a grudge against someone, or knowing that someone is holding a grudge against you, know that it's just an immature emotion that wants love, that maybe has never been introduced to the light. And so you exude the light. You be the example, and let everyone and everything else be as it is. Number 10, codependency is a real robber of joy. Why? Because it's our lack of sovereignty that we're displaying in that immature emotional self that is excessively dependent on another for validation and fulfillment. And for those of us who grew up in a home where codependency was displayed, and then we take it on, it can be a difficult thing to work through and mature into the spirituality of I am my own being. I am the I am that I am, and shut off the opinions of other people and move into sovereignty. For some, it can be a long journey. For some, it can be quick, depending on the decision of when you've decided that you're going to move on to something else. Number 11, excessive focus on material possessions rather than internal possessions. Are we always striving to be the best, to have the best? It's pretty evident in our culture that, they have a Ferrari and they have 4 homes and they have what, it's like, do you really want that? Think of the responsibility that comes with having 4 homes or $1 million in the bank, and how are you going to handle the taxes? And, it's like, who cares? Our consciousness and our soul's purpose is going to drive us into exactly what we require in this lifetime. And maybe you will be a trillionaire someday. Good for you. Good. But it's the internal possessions. It's the drive of the soul that will take you there, rather than this focus on, well, they have that, so I have to have that, so I'm as good or better than they are. So that is a real thief of joy as well. And number 12 is all-encompassing stress and overwhelm, which can stem from all of the above, which can lead to no hope, no trust. So if you're feeling stressed right now, let's just take a minute and do this. The Andromedan showed me this morning. Sometimes our feathers can get ruffled and we're stuck in an emotion, and this is a really good way to calm that parasympathetic nervous system. Yeah, we can go through yawning and things like that, which will stimulate the vagus nerve to calm the parasympathetic nervous system. But how about this? Just take your 2 fingers lightly and put them just below your sternum. You know that place in the belly that gets tied in knots? That place in the belly that gets the butterflies? Just lightly place 2 fingers. It's right below your center of your rib cage. You know where it is. Sometimes it's hot and burning because you're so tied up in your emotions. And just as you're lightly feeling your fingers resting there, just breathe. Just breathe into it. Breathe with it. Just be. And there's nothing to do but breathe right here, right now. So the world is a safe place to be. It's safe here. And it's safe to love. It's safe to be loved. And right there, I know you got it. There was a joy that came up from within in that place of peace, in that place where there's nothing but you, the presence of you. Just loving yourself. Just de-stressing. Good. How did that feel? You want to stay there, don't you? That calms the parasympathetic nervous system. It's going to calm your digestive system. So those of you who have digestive problems or nervous system issues, this is going to help the digestion just come back online.